be the bride in black that's making you run. I feel alright and we'll feel alright, 'cause we'll work it out. Yeah, we'll work it out. I'll be doing this if you ever doubt, till the love runs out, till the love runs out. I'll be your ghost, your game, your stadium. I'll be your 50,000 clapping like one. I feel alright and I feel alright, 'cause I worked it out. Yeah, I worked it out. I'll be doing this if you ever doubt, till the love runs out, till the love runs out. I've got my mind made up and I can't let go. I'm killing every second till it saves my soul. I'll be running till the love runs out, till the love runs out. And we'll start a fire and we'll shut it down, till the love runs out, till the love runs out.
Well, hello, I'm Jerry McKee, and it is 7 o'clock. If you can hear by the clocks, or, them ding clocks at 7 o'clock, I got so many of them in here. But we got a great guest for you tonight. We got a quantum healer. And you say, well, what is a quantum healer? You will find out tonight. You'll be able to go ahead and send in a comment, and we'll be able to see you up. I'll pop you up if okay, just check you out. Just let you know that your feedback and listening there. I got Brian Crawford. Over the past 10 years, he has gone on an amazing spiritual transformation, and which led him to his true calling of quantum healer. Brian's also discovered some great work with this lady, Dolores Cannon, who's a famous hypnotherapist and founder of the QHHT. And you're saying, what is that? That's an acronym. Okay, quantum healing hypnosis technique. Now, QHHT is really a truly session of love, helping other people, helping themselves, but guiding them to their own inner wisdom for healing and growth. And we all need healing and growth for sure. This is an amazing and powerful technique that is unique to each person. So it's just not for a broad people, it's for an individual person. Now, Brian has helped clients shed fear of old patterns, heal both emotionally and physically, explored past lives, discovered their soul clan, their purpose, and empower themselves to live the best life. And we all want to live our best lives. So let's bring Brian on. And here he is, the man of the hour.
Jerry, what an honor. Thank you for having me on your show.
Well, it is great to have you. And I know I got a lot of questions here. And let me do a little of my engineer stuff here too. There we go. That way I can see if any chats come in, I can pop them up. We can answer them, and if they have any questions. Now, tell me what quantum healing hypnosis is. Tell me a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So QHHT, which is the acronym for quantum healing, was developed by this wonderful soul, Dolores Cannon. She had 40 years worth of hypnotherapy experience, and she is famous for reducing the induction time. So instead of it taking an hour to make somebody relax into a hypnotic state or a beautiful relaxed state, she developed a technique that could do it very quickly. When she was doing this for the 40 years, she got entrusted as this barometer of knowledge, and she was allowed to tap into her client's subconsciousness. But she was also able to get downloads of information, wrote 18 amazing books, one of which is translating Nostradamus' work. She's absolutely amazing. With her teachings, she has now thousands of people around the globe that can do her technique. And so we're out there doing the work of healing and helping. It's an honor. It's a complete honor.
Well, I have to ask this question because I know you started out in another business and really, going a wholly different directions in this. What intrigued you to go into this type of field?
It's interesting. If you had told me 15 years ago that I would be doing this work, I would have said, what are you talking about? I don't even know what you're talking about. I was in corporate food service for 30 years. And then I just needed to change. And I left, I quit my job and said, all right, well, what am I going to do? Well, I knew food, so I opened a restaurant. And my lesson there wasn't about the restaurant. It was about taking a leap of faith, opening a small business with a very small success rate and having the faith that it was going to work out. And people would say to me, well, aren't you afraid? And I'd say, no, everyone's afraid for me. I don't need to be afraid. And they would say, well, what if you don't make payroll? I'm like, I have to make payroll. That's just the way it's going to work. And so for 5 years, I had the restaurant, and it just taught me to live in my power. What I manifested came true. People that would come in with it was an open counter concept. So people would come in with their problems, just like a bartender, right? And they would say blah, blah, blah. And I would be able to connect with them. And so I've always seen the world differently. But through that process, that's when I discovered Dolores's work. And so when she taps into a subconscious of a client or a counsel of Akashic records, she's getting downloads of information that we just aren't privy to unless you have a special gift or a special tool. If you're clairvoyant, if you're a medium, if you're good at reading Akashic records, if you can meditate and get it yourself. So this is one of many methods. And the information resonated with me. And my body said, hey, you can't do this restaurant thing anymore. You're too old.
No, it takes.
My feet were like, get the heck out of the restaurant. And so at the end of the day, I went and said, I want to get a session done. You know, I had an anchoring to find out what this was really like. So I went to a practitioner, wonderful, wonderful person. And I said to her, listen, I've got this deep-seated sorrow inside of me. And I don't know what that's from. And I said, but I've done my work. You know, we've all earth school's hard, right? So we've all had family problems and all this other kind of stuff that we had to overcome. And I did that. I forgave my parents. I moved on. I thought I was whole. I'm like, this has got to be from something else, this sorrow, because I really am whole and happy. And it turns out that deep-seated sorrow was that 10-year-old boy that lost his childhood innocence at 10 years. And had to become an adult. And so things would trigger me that I didn't realize, and that sorrow would come up. Working through the session, gone, never had it since. You know, I got to connect to that 10-year-old boy, let him know he's loved. We got to bond as an adult, because we're all energy, right? So the energy can't be destroyed. So if we're in an earthly incarnation, but once we pass on from this earthly incarnation, our energy is still there. So you can still talk to anybody that's not in an earthly space. So people who have passed on, but you can also talk to the past, your past little self, because that energy still resonates too. It's fascinating. And so healing can be done through this modality. And I healed that sorrow. And then I said, I got to do this. This is amazing. And that was my journey.
So now you left all those people hanging at the restaurant, you know, says, where's our advisor at? Where's something that can make us feel better? And I've managed restaurants before, and it is not for the faint-hearted, that's for sure.
That is for sure.
And your transformation to this right here was because you sold your business and said, okay, I'm going to do this. And how did you feel about it? Did you feel that you would feel at ease with it, or was your just anxiety, or did you control that?
You know what? People will say, what qualifies you to do the work? Okay. I've got beautiful friends that are talk counselors. They are very successful with their master's degrees in what they do. What qualifies you is being an old soul, life experience, right? And so what we do is we're putting somebody in a relaxed state and tapping them into their energy field. Their energy field already knows everything about them. So they know what the best memory is to pull up, or what the best healing is that needs to take place, or if they need to forgive, or if they need to let go of anger, or whatever the case may be. The qualification here is the facilitation. So being open to anything, understanding human relationships well enough to be able to articulate and have a conversation, and and just knowing what people have gone through so you can be ready for anything that was in their journey and be able to relate to it. Those were all skills I had. I was in, when I had the corporation job, I was managing a staff of 200 people. I managed a corporation and a big university dining program. You have all these skills already, so they're transferable. You know, it's just getting ready. It's just being ready for the unknown, right? Like when someone says, when I say, "Where are you?" and they say, "Oh, I'm not in a human form," you got to be ready for that. Whether that's or whether that's a blue chicken, like whatever.
Well, there's a lot of people I would just kind of have little questions about there myself. Okay, you're another form. Okay, I agree with you. And you said something there about you believe that some of your life experiences that you live, whether it be pros or con or bad, do you think that's a teaching tool that where you be able to, when you sit and talk with someone, like someone comes to you for your service, that you can relate to more so than maybe even following a pattern or a book, or sometimes people put you in a category box with everybody else?
Everything I call Earth school. Earth is a school. We've come down here to learn, and because we've come down and have this earthly experience, we're this huge, amazing piece of energy. We've come down to have one little piece of that energy in this body and do this school. It's a very hard school because we forget how powerful we are. And so when we go through school, we have all these things we've set ourselves up for lessons. Some of them are very hard. Some people, so we look and say, wow, why does this person have such a hard life? They've set themselves up to really grow. So the harder the lesson, the more the ring grows on the tree, right? The more expansive you are. And so absolutely we set ourselves up to learn and grow. So the goal is to find out why. So everyone comes into our life for a reason. You're the star of your own play, but in your play, you've got all these supporting actors. Some are real important, like your parents. Some are less important, like your siblings. Some are just people you meet on the bus. But everybody has something that you can learn. You're saying, what am I supposed to learn from? So when people come in and they'll say, I'm coming in for a reason, and let's just say it's anxiety. They don't know where the anxiety is from. When we have this conversation, the patterns start to show. People have come into their lives to give them anxiety, and that now it's time for them to unwind that, unpack that, figure it out, so we can let go of the anxiety, but figure out what the growth potential is or what the lesson is. Does that make sense?
That does make sense, and we have a lady, Sandra, that I hope you can see that on your end too. The question or statement.
Oh yeah. I'll tell you, Sandra's session was transformative. She was, when you're open to wanting to grow, you come in, and she beautifully opened up and trusted secrets that she hadn't told anybody in really a very long time. And in doing that, it opened the floodgate for the healing. And she was able to literally get the healing she needed. She literally was taking on other people's pain as an empath to not feel her own pain, because she was so guilty over her own pain. Once she healed her own pain, she doesn't need to take on anybody else's and or hers, right? So it's beautiful.
Yeah, and I know you have sometimes people come in very very skeptic, and that's something that I guess you really have to either talk to them and let them feel comfortable. I mean, how do you handle that when someone comes in and they already really skeptic and just don't not believing in what you're saying, and how do you make them kind of comfortable that way?
So here's what's fun, right? So people love to ask what you do. So you're at a party, and someone will say, "So what do you do?" And I'll say, "I'm a hypnotherapist." Right? So that one of two things happen: either they say, "Ooh, tell me more. What do you do? And you're hypnotizing me right now," or other people are like, "Okay, I'll see you later." I don't even want to know what that means. So the people who aren't ready aren't interested. It doesn't work if you're not interested, and it won't work if you're not ready.
Right.
More importantly, Jerry, are the people who really truly are ready, but then they say, I don't know if I can relax. I'm so high strung. I don't think that you can, quote, hypnotize me. And what I tell people is that you ever driven down the highway and you've had a daydream, and when you've come out of the daydream for a mile, you looked back on the road and said, "Ooh, how did I date? Who drove the car? I don't even know where I was." There's two of us. There's the car driver and there's the daydreamer. And so we're really not hypnotizing anybody as much as we're relaxing them to talk to the daydreamer. Once you're relaxed, the person driving the car is very important. They have to talk, tell me what they see, they have to breathe, all that sort of thing. But the daydreamer we can connect that daydreamer to the higher energy, their higher power, their subconscious. And so the people who have anxiety, just think that you're taking their power away because they've seen that person in college, quack like a duck on stage. And that's not at all what it is. So you're not taking anyone's power. You're just relaxing them to get them to connect. And once you realize that, everybody goes fine.
Yeah, well, I think that's where a lot of perceptions go is, of course, TV glamorizing some things, where you put a watch out in front of them, then off they go, and you have them go out and snap your fingers, and they come up quacking like a duck and stuff like that. Well, my wife told me, said, "Don't you be learning any of that right there. Make me do stuff."
I'll tell you the secrets later. No, it's funny because I'll like, when I'm in a group setting and I'm giving a lecture or whatever, and I'll say, "And you're all hypnotized right now," and people's faces, they're like, "Whoa!" I'm like, "I'm kidding. That's not how it works."
But that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, you need to put your kind of like on opening up would be funny. Would bring someone in. You tell them, "So I want you to act like this."
Yeah, it's a matter of trust. So when people come, we literally have a 2-hour conversation one-on-one before we do anything. That 2 hours is me learning about their lives, their relationships, their childhood, their work, all that sort of thing, their goals, their physical ailments or their physical disease, a whole host of things. During that time, that's where the trust is built. And so there's no reason, once it comes time to do the induction, it's very relaxing and everyone goes very smoothly. In all of the years I've done this, I've only had one person who really just fought it. And she came back again. She fought it again. I recommended her to another practitioner. She didn't have success there. She's not ready. If you're not ready, you're not ready. There's no reason to come if you're not ready, because the whole point is to get the healing or get the answers, right? You get to ask any question you've ever wanted to know the answer to. Think about that for a second. What's my purpose? What the questions about your love life, questions about your past, questions about past lives, questions about your career. Questions about your childhood. Is it important that I talk to Sister Mary? We haven't talked in 3 years. Whatever the case may be. So, wouldn't you want this information? Of course you do. So, if you're not ready, it's not going to work. You have to have a belief system. So, I had a client that came in and he said, "I believe in everything we're going to do today, but I don't believe that my emotion can cause dis-ease in my body. I'm not a believer that if I hold on to anger, that it's going to manifest physically." And guess what? When it came time to do the physical part of the healing, he didn't get any physical healing, which he really could have used, but he doesn't believe in it. So even though he did the work, the emotional work, and did the forgiveness that he needed to do, he didn't get any physical benefit from it.
Yeah. Well, yourself, when people are either grieving or upset, our bodies goes through a chemical change, even, with inside. And I've known people that's just gotten themselves deathly sick, either over worry or something they think they can't control. And to me, it would be more enlightening to where you're getting all that out and you're not having all of that, the stress. We all know about the medical stress that makes your heart and all this stuff here, but so can other things. Are people reluctant to talk about their past? I know I've done some minor counseling as I'm a Presbyterian minister, and sometimes don't want to talk about that path. They're not, in my environment, of course, not relaxed enough or comfortable enough that they can tell a stranger or tell somebody they know. They can tell a stranger quicker than they can tell somebody they know.
Well, and that part is actually true. It's harder to confide in a friend or a parent, right? It's easier to confide in a stranger. But I will tell you that that's never been my personal issue. I have more of the opposite. I'm the person in the bar that someone comes up to me and starts telling me everything about their life. So I actually have to turn that off when I'm out socially. It is a beautiful, wonderful gift, and it is a wonderful compliment. One of the compliments I receive all the time is, you make me feel very calm, and I feel like I can tell you anything. And that's a personality trait that I have, and I'm very blessed with. And so I've never, ever encountered someone not opening up. To my point earlier, it happens if I'm out socially. Yeah, so it's a matter of you providing that safe space for trust. And I think that just is when you're good at, everyone's good at what they do. So if you're really good as a chef, you're really good mixing those flavors, right? I'm just calm and comfortable and open, and people perceive that. The light is bright. They perceive that. So
Now when people come to your services and to see you, do you reassure them that confidentiality is just like a doctor with HIPAA and things like that?
100% confident. No one needs to know anyway. Like it's so interesting because every once in a while someone will say, now this isn't going to go anywhere. Who am I telling? Of course not. I was 100% confident. I tell all my clients, I write a blog. So I write a Substack about my clients' experiences. There's never anything personal in there. In other words, it's not their name. I'll change the name if I put a name in. I'll change the occupation. I'll change. It's the blog is about the experience, so others can read and learn about how QHHT is helpful, but also the types of things that you can get from it, whether that's personal healing, emotional healing, physical healing, past life experiences, out-of-body experiences, different dimensional experience. Everything is fascinating, and everybody's different. Every single person's different. So the blog is never personal, and it's very 100% confidentiality is very important.
Let me ask, is most of your customers women, or is it kind of equal based wise? Because most people think, well, people go to the therapist, they go here, and most of it's all women because men don't have this problem.
It's that's a great question. It is my practice 50-50, right?
Wow.
Amazing, right? And then the men will say, well, I don't know if I could be hypnotized. I'll be like, calm down, it's going to be fine. Like it's not taking your power. And as soon as they understand I'm not taking power, they're like, oh, okay. And so I'm like, you're either ready for this, you're either ready for the results, the healing, or you're not, or the exploration. Women don't ever ask that. They're just, so the men ask that question where the women don't ask it, but it's really 50-50, to be honest.
Well, see, in that way, if you get a lot after this interview right here, you can say, "See, I hypnotized you to come here."
Yeah. Absolutely. And what's really important is that it has to be done in person. It's just one of those intuitive things. We need to feel each other's energy. I need to see your body language. We need to be in the same room. There has to be that bond of trust. And if there was ever anything that happened over the internet where I lost you, I need you here, right? So it is person. And QHHT practitioners are worldwide. We're all over the place. So I'm in Florida. I have people that come down and travel to see me because they're like, I'll work it into my vacation, and it works out very well. But there's also somebody in your neighborhood if we needed to find someone for you.
Now, have you seen some of your success stories that when someone comes in and they leave and they tell you, like, I feel different, I feel energized, or I just feel more alive?
Everybody gets what they need first. So remember I said you could come and you can ask questions. Let's say you've got questions about past lives. We're connecting you to your higher subconscious, your higher power of energy. They know what you need. So if you need to release guilt, let's say, from a situation, you're going to get that healing first, and then we can explore other things. So I had a gentleman that came in, major shoulder pain. He's had it for 30 years. Turns out he's a cancer survivor. His brother also had cancer. His brother died and he survived. He has survivor's guilt and he's carrying all that guilt in his shoulder. We were able to connect him to his brother's energy. His brother came in and talked to him and let him know that he was loved and that this was not his they're different journeys. They're in different plays. The script was written differently. And there was nothing for him to feel guilty about. There was nothing for him to do. Once he heard his brother say that, and they were able to cry, or he was able to cry, and his brother was able to reassure. And I said, are we ready to let go of the guilt today? Yeah, we can let go of the guilt. As soon as he let go of the guilt, he had this beautiful warm glow all in his shoulder area, and he never had the pain again. That was 4 years ago.
Wow.
Absolutely. People have physical sensations. They can feel love. They can feel warmth. They can feel the healing. The body will have a sensation. Not everybody, but most people. Yeah.
Now, do you find out that a lot of people have things that's in their past, maybe growing up even as a child, that they push back so back in their mind that they don't know the reason why they're even acting like this or right here because they suppressed it, that they even has forgot about that little part that they push back?
Absolutely. And so 2 things with that, Jerry. One is no one's going to get anything they're not ready for. So if you had a terrible situation where you were raped at 2 years old and you've suppressed that and you are not ready to deal with that, it's not going to come up. All right. Because again, we're tapping you into your energy that has all of the wisdom and all the knowledge of you and wants you to live your best life now. So if you're not ready, it's not going to happen. Right. So there's nothing to be fearful of. Anything that does come up, you are 100% ready for. And there are lots of people that have not only suppressed memories, but also just programming. The gentleman I had yesterday, he's very successful in the job that he has, but every time he's got a performance job, and every time he performs, he has anxiety. That anxiety is manifested in his stomach. He has all sorts of intestinal issues for years and years, and doctors can't find anything wrong with him. Growing up, his mother would say, how was my practice, Mom? Like he was on the piano. She'd say, it's really great, dear, but you're going to be better. It always can be better. He was told over and over and over again that he could always be better. So in the back of his mind, he's not enough. He feels as if he's always got to be better. So he's worried that at the end of one of his concerts, and he's famous, that someone's going to say it wasn't good enough. It could be better because, hey, he was programmed with that. He didn't even realize he was being programmed. And his mother had no intention of programming him negatively. She was trying to encourage him to be the best he could be. Well, he is the best. He's world famous. But in this process, he found out that he was programmed. He let that go. He forgave her. He was able to release that energy. And his stomach problems have gone away. And he's not worried about not being enough. It's amazing. So yeah, we're programmed and there's a lot of suppressed memories. Absolutely.
And that goes to talk about some of the illness that I don't like pills. I don't like taking medicine if I can absolutely not do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of our illnesses, some of our aches, some of our pains comes from other areas than just a physical or something precise that's kind of magically in you, but yet it's causing these things. And I think sometimes I'm not to really believe this, that we take medicine sometimes to actually just to numb whatever we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's no doubt about that. We also live in a system where pills are big business, right? So part of the healing, let me explain the physical healing part, because now that we've established that you can have dis-ease or discomfort or a physical problem from an emotional attachment or emotion. So you're holding on to guilt, you're holding on to anger, you're holding on to anger really tight, you're going to have cancer. Now you can get cancer from a high tension wire, you can get cancer from a whole bunch of environmental reasons, but you can also get it if you're holding on to guilt and anger, right? And so you need to release that, right? And so we go to the doctor, they give us a pill. So one of the things that happen is we go through, what are your physical symptoms? When did they start? What was going on in your life at the time that they started? So we can understand if there's an emotional attachment to it. And then we'll talk about, what are you taking pharmaceutical wise? And so when we tap into the energy, and we'll say, so-and-so's taking this for anxiety, this for high blood pressure, this for cholesterol, this for, and we'll go, and they'll say, they don't need that, they don't need that, they do need this, they do need that. Don't worry, they can take that, it's not going to harm them. Like, because they don't want you on all these pharmaceuticals. But it doesn't mean that you throw it all away either, right? Some of them are important, and some of them are needed, but we're over-medicated, so not everything is what we need to take. And they'll make sure that they do that. Sometimes, the gentleman day before yesterday released his anger and the guilt that he had toward his mother, and his kidney stone has just been cleared up after having it for a very long time. So the medication he's taking for the kidney stone, he doesn't need to take anymore, right?
Yeah, I can see that that so many things get, like, a lot of people worry, like an ulcer, having an ulcer, and I know when I got good blood pressure, but if I go to the doctor, I get what they call the white coat syndrome. I get in there, mine's up high. And so a lot of different things can affect the body that we sometimes discount as, well, that's supposed to be there, or that's supposed to be this. And
I'm just getting older, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yes.
I'm old now, so I have this. Yeah, no, that's not the case. That's not necessarily the case. And there's so here's how the physical healing works. Number one, you have to have a belief system. Number two, you have to, what we'll do is we'll look over the body and we'll say, so-and-so has lower back problem. Is there a reason why they have to have this? And their higher power will say, no, there's no reason. That happened in a physical injury. It was a sports injury. Can we clean that up for her today? Can we take that lower back pain away? Absolutely. And they'll literally be able to walk out of the room without any back pain ever again. If there's a lesson to be learned from the back pain, they'll say, absolutely not. We're not going to take away the back pain. She's still holding on to whatever, and guilt or whatever the case would be. And so we're not going to take that away. Or they'll say, actually, we gave her the back pain because we want her attention, because she doesn't slow down, and this is slowing her down. And now her mind is now slow because her body's now slower. And so no, she's going to live with the back pain for a while because we need to work on her and she needs to pay more attention. So there's a million different things. If you're abusing your body, they won't heal it. So if you're drinking too much, they're not going to heal your liver but they want you to be healthy. But sometimes there are reasons. I had a gentleman came in. He was HIV positive. He had been HIV. He's now in his 50s. He got it in his 23 years old. Very first sexual encounter he ever had. He was like, "Why did I have to?" He said, "I'm okay with it. Like, I'm undetectable and I'm healthy, and the medication's amazing nowadays. And I'm not gonna give it to anybody else, and I'm not going to die. But why did I have to go through it?" And he was told that by his having the condition, he had to then go to his family and tell them that he was gay. Then he had to go and tell them he had HIV. The entire family rallied around him and showed him unconditional love, which was amazing for the whole family. 5 years later, they moved from a South American country to the United States, the whole family. He got the treatment he needed. They are now living a better life than they were ever going to live in their home country. And the answer he got was, you got this to learn unconditional love and teach your family unconditional love. That's why that happened to you. And you were the catalyst to move everybody because of it. And look at you now. It doesn't matter. It's such a nothing issue, nothing you have to worry about. So he got great solace and getting to put that into place. So he didn't get healed, but he got, from the condition, but he doesn't need to be. He's fine. And that's a case where the drugs are doing wonders, and he's mentally now can put that into place and not feel like a victim, right? Amazing.
Right. And it sounds great because you're saying, sometimes we need the medication but
Yeah.
along with this right here can help our bodies and help our minds and stuff uh, to make the medication actually work real well with your outlook of life itself, like getting the garbage out.
Get the garbage out. So the right quantity. So sometimes people will come in with 9 different medications and they'll say, listen, you only need 3 of these. you know, but no one's ever told stop taking everything point blank. That's never the
Right.
case. Right. And everything
Well,
everything is explained, right? So
okay. Well, let's look at some pictures.
sure.
Well, here's the first one. I don't know who this strange guy is right here.
Who's that
but
guy?
Yeah, we kind of want to let everybody know that he does clean up well.
He's hypnotizing you right now.
Yeah, that's why I had to put it up there. Look into his eyes,
Just look in those eyes.
and you'll be in my office tomorrow. Now, this right here, everybody is weight conscious right now that, oh my goodness, what in the world? I've gained weight, which I got to go to the doctor tomorrow and he's going to say, you gained weight. Yeah. But we worry about, am I losing too much weight rapidly, or is something happening that gives me excuse that I have to eat more, or because you can lose and gain, it can be both dramatic on your body.
This gentleman came. So people come in with a goal. One of the things that he wanted to know was, why am I losing weight? He had lost 50 or 60 pounds in a very short amount of time. And he was happy to be lighter, but he was afraid it wasn't going to stop. And he was very nervous and so he had all of these medical tests done, and there wasn't anything that the medical industry could find that would be making him lose the weight. And he's like, they're telling me nothing's wrong with me. So, again, in the process, we talked about all these different things that were going on in his life. And one of the things that was going on is he had his own business. I don't know if he got rid of it, but he had his own business, and he knew it was time to sell the business, and he was not willing to do it. And he was given sign after sign after sign. His intuition kept telling him, sell the business, and he kept fighting it. And the more he fought it, the more he got anxiety, and the more the weight came off. He learned that he doesn't have anything to fear by selling the business. He's actually going to go into a new line of work that he's going to enjoy even more. They told him what it was. They told him not to worry about the money. He's not young. I mean, he's 70. He was early 70s. So it was, for him, it was this, and he needed the money. So it wasn't like he could just say, oh, I can retire. This was life-changing. Am I really going to leave what I've been doing for the last 20 years and start a new business? And he got the affirmation that it was okay. He got the confirmation that it was okay. And with that, he could now settle his mind, and it worked like a great weight loss program. But the other thing that they told him was, we wanted your attention. Everything we've been trying to do to tell you that it is time, you keep fighting. So we figured that if we give you a little scare, that you might end up doing something like you did, which was coming to me for answers. There's a method to the madness. And so in his particular case, it was dual. It was dual, right? It was them giving him a reason to come see me, but it was also them really wanting his attention, because he just was full of anxiety, and the anxiety was also really making him lose the weight. Fear of the unknown. Fear of the unknown.
Well, what about the spectrum of the other end of, say, you're overweight, and to say, there's, I've tried to lose and try to do this right here. We, especially in January, everybody buys those go to the gym thing. I bought one. I think I went twice. What's your feedback on just basically not a thyroid condition like that, but just gaining weight?
So every single person is different, right? So I don't want to just make it sound like, hey, there's a magic pill and you're going to lose weight. But from an emotional standpoint, A lot of people who are very heavy don't realize consciously that they've put on the weight to make them unattractive. They purposely are hiding behind something. It could be that they had a bad experience in dating. It could have been that they were raped. It could have been that someone always told them that they weren't enough, so they don't believe that they're enough. It could be that mom just subliminally always put you down and you had no idea. We purposely sometimes put on the weight as a guard, as a shield,
Right.
as a buffer. And so what's beautiful about a QHHT process is if there is something that if you've tried everything to have the weight come off, if you're one of these people and nothing's worked, you need to come and see a QHHT practitioner so we can find out if there's an emotional link. And if there's an emotional link, then the weight can come off once the emotion is solved.
Right, 'cause I know some of people have thought that, even include myself, like that. You get upset and say, "Oh, every time I just eat." It could be over anything, To me, I see a good chocolate cake, I say, "Oh, I'm upset. Let me have some." But and I've heard that also.
And of course, because it's no different than any other thing we do to mask a problem, right? So you're upset, how do you solve the problem? You eat it away. It's no different than drinking it or going to the gym too much or drinking too much coffee or doing drugs, or you're masking whatever it is that instead of getting to the core problem, which is what's causing me to be having the anxiety or the anger in the first place, solving that, and you won't be going to the fridge. A lot of people are just happy, and so that unhappiness, they just eat because they're just hiding their unhappiness. Yeah.
Okay. Well, our next slide here: healing a persistent past life trauma. You think consciously that they hold on to this trauma, or is it so bad that they just can't let it go? What are your perspective on this?
So what's interesting about past lives is that, we're all energy. So we are that ocean of energy that we tap into when we have this conversation. You've come down to have a really short little play, an 80, 100-year play, okay, where you're the star of that play. You can come down and do 1 million of these little earth plays if you want to. And people do. They come down and they learn all sorts of lessons. Every earth is a school. So you learn empathy, you learn trust, you learn something. And so you have a reason to want to keep coming down here. And right now people are saying, I didn't choose to come down here. This planet is hard. But believe it or not, you really did. And so you can carry something over from a past life. You can carry a emotional or physical trauma over from a past life. So in that particular person's case, he was medieval times, walking with a sword, met a person on a trail. The other person killed him. The sword penetrated him, and he still has abdominal problems in this incarnation. So we found out what the root of the abdominal problems were, but then we said, how can he release this? Does he need to have this? And they said, he has been carrying every single life. He gets reincarnated and he is continually having abdominal problems. We would love for him to release the energy. He doesn't want to. He's so angry at something that happened in another lifetime that he's still carrying a physical problem. So I said, well, what do we have to do today to clear that up? All he has to do is let it go. He doesn't even have to understand why he's angry. We don't have to visit that. All he has to do is say, I forgive the person and I'm willing to let it go. And I said, are we willing to do that today? And he said, yeah, let's do it. I don't want these abdominal problems. And so, yeah, you can literally carry a past life trauma over. A birthmark, if you have a birthmark on your body, that's carrying a past life indication over. Usually a birthmark is where you were murdered in a past life. So if you've got a little birthmark here, an arrow might have gone in your body here, or a bullet might have gone in your body here. I had 2 clients, brother and sister. They both had these birthmarks that wrap around their torso, and they're like, "Oh, it must be genetic. You and your sister both have one." Turns out he and his sister were both in another life, knew each other, were Roman soldiers, and got killed by a sword, Colosseum style, right? So that's that birthmark. It doesn't hurt them. There's no reason to care about the birthmark. It doesn't need to go away. But it was nice to put it into perspective, But absolutely, you can carry it, emotional or physical trauma from a past life. And you don't need it. And so the best part is that you can get it cleared up. You don't need it.
Well, this is one of my favorite persons growing up. My favorite Martian.
You didn't know it was true, right?
Yes, I say that. I said, notice this. That was the funniest program. And I mean, I was glued to the TV. I'm telling my age, I know, but
No, it's
it was
wonderful,
good.
right? So this particular person got a wonderful past life memory as somebody who lives on Mars, and it didn't look like that, by the way. But you know, lived in a cave on Mars and had this amazing life. And her grandmother, it might have been her grandmother, somebody in this life was also in that life with her. When a past life is shown to a client, there's always a reason. So they'll show the past life in this case. So if you were wondering, there is really life on Mars. Yes, there's really life on Mars. There's life everywhere, by the way. There's life. They may not look like us, but there's life everywhere. Millions of galaxies, countless ways that you can have a life. And so in this particular life, this person had this amazing life in Mars. And and so we say, why did you show this person this life on Mars? And then the dots are connected. And part of that connection was the soul clan. It was the familiar person who's also in this life. They wanted that person is so special to her because it's also a person that was done many different lives on many different planets with, not just Earth.
Well, it just kind of flashed back to me. Me sitting there eating sugar pops and was like, 5, 6 years old watching this.
I'd love to tell you that she had those antennas, but that's not how she looked.
Now, I know someone was going to ask, do you have a couch?
Do you have a couch? This is a very typical setting, right? So we have a nice one-on-one conversation, and then we have we literally, you lie down, you relax, and I speak until we get you to a nice relaxed state, and then we do the connection.
Now, I got to ask this. Is this guy your twin brother?
We do look alike. Isn't it funny?
It is.
Yeah.
I read something about you talking about twins, and now I think about, what about this twin laying there?
It's really funny. So this particular person is a friend in the town with which I live, and he did a session with me. And when we go out, people will say that. They'll say, "Are you guys brothers?" But
maybe in another lifetime, right?
Yeah, maybe, who knows? He's a super good guy. But so people will say, how does it work? The person lying down on the couch literally talks. The channeling comes from the higher power through that person. I ask questions. What do you see? What are you wearing? Where are you right now? What does your body look like? Are you in a body? Do you have a body? Do you, some people go to their childhood. Some people go to a past life. Some people go to out of body experience. So they talk, their higher power comes through them. Then we say, why did you show? Then I ask to directly connect to the higher power. And then I say, why did you show this person these memories, whatever they are? And that person that will all of a sudden start to talk in third party, and they'll say, he needs to hear this, or he needs to understand that. 99% of the time, it's the voice doesn't change. Every once in a while, a voice will change. We're tapping into the client's subconscious. If you want to know answers that don't pertain to you, let's say you want to know life on Mars. Is there life on Mars? Or is the moon real? Like people say, is the earth flat? It doesn't matter what it is. That your higher energy may not know the answer to that, but they'll tap then into a council, a collective council, or Akashic records, if you will, and they'll seek the answers. So you can come to a session to get more than just physical or personal healing. You can also just tap into energy and get amazing answers. It's amazing.
I imagine this is one of your conferences that you give.
Yeah, this was a workshop and a conference. Absolutely, people come in. I do them every other month, and I bring another holistic practitioner in with me that has nothing to do with what I do. Last month, it was a cold plunge therapy person who does cold and hot and cold therapy. And then next in September, it'll end up being an acupuncturist. But the point is for people to come and listen to holistic care. So they understand that there's more than one healthcare system out there, and that there's ways to heal your body in a whole bunch of different modalities. And of course, QHHT is one of those.
Okay. And you always get
talked about, right?
Yeah, I love this right here because we just talked about that. Oh, I don't think I'd be hypnotized, and you says, but you do it at least twice a day.
If you dream and you remember your dreams, that's the state we're going to. That place where you're. See what happens in your dreams. It's fascinating. Your body is carbon organic. It needs to sleep, so the body goes to sleep. But your energy doesn't need to sleep. Right? It doesn't even need the body. So it goes and it has fun. So it dreams, right? It goes and so it literally travels and has a great time. And so, you do it naturally. So the word hypnotize, again, sounds scary. We're not hypnotizing. We're just relaxing you to get to this dream state.
Well, when you was talking about your dream state there, I was working an extra, like long hours, almost 28 hours straight, and 2 o'clock in the morning driving home through the country, and I knew exactly where I was live at, but I got to the stop sign, and the next thing I remember is I'm looking at these uh, uh, convenience stores and stuff like that, and I kind of poured in and said, wait a minute, when did they build these here? I drove like 16 miles out of my way, and I could have been home in like, 6 miles in that unconscious state, and that was crazy.
What's so powerful about what you just said, right? Is that's the person having the daydream driving the car. That's how powerful we are. We're taught that we're insignificant, that we have no power, that we aren't this amazing energy. We are amazing energy. And so that just goes to show how powerful humans are and how powerful our brains are. So that's why there's two of you. The person driving the car keeps you breathing. We never think about breathing, right? We breathe naturally. So that person that was driving the car, they were keeping you safe. You were on the road. So even though you were having your dreams, you were totally fine.
Oh man, I see somebody now says, that guy's asleep. Who's that driving?
You weren't asleep. You weren't asleep. Both were operating at the same time. That's all.
Yeah, I just wanted to show that men and women was in the same state too.
Yep. Totally safe space. And both men and women open up very comfortably. Women tend to open up comfortably no matter what, but there's nothing that I haven't heard, and there's nothing that is crazy. There's literally nothing crazy. And there's nothing personal. It's all a matter of trust and healing,
All right. And there you are, and this question and answers.
Yeah. The best thing about a session like this, or a conversation that you and I are having, is this question and answer period, because if you're thinking it, somebody else is thinking it, right?
Exactly. And I think when people get together and they raise their hand like that, and getting the first one to speak out, and then you just follow suits a little bit.
I had a guy that came in. He wanted to know. He said, I know you've heard it all. I want to know where a box of gold coins are. He said, I moved from Hawaii to Florida. The coins are missing, and I want to know where the coins are. And only 3 people in my family know where they are, knew about them, right? And so he came in, and this goes along the lines of, you come in for a reason, but you're going to get something that you weren't ready. You're ready for it, but you didn't know you needed. All right. So he came in about the box of gold coins. He's got a second wife. He cheated on the first wife with the second wife. He's now in this 10-year marriage. He still had guilt from the way he left his first wife. She moved on. She's remarried. She's whole and happy. They're friends. She doesn't have any guilt. He's still carrying guilt. He had because his higher power knows this. They connected him. He got to cry that out. He got to forgive himself in the session, right? And he said, wow, I didn't even know I was holding that. I just came in to find out where the coins were. And by the way, his second wife stole the coins, and she's cheating on him. So he got what he wanted, and he also got some nice healing. But the beautiful thing about the healing is that he doesn't know he needed it, right? So they do. Your higher power does. Yeah.
I guess karma.
Yeah, it does exist.
Okay, I got to ask you about this picture here. The little things on the right hanging.
Yeah.
Is that where you kind of like bone, bone therapy there? Just kind of,
Yeah, so those are very important for the people who can't fall asleep or hypnotize. I whack them really hard. There's two different sizes, one's for women and one's for men. Yeah, they're obviously for the gong that's behind me there, right?
But the way you're sitting, I thought that was kind of part of the chair there until I got to really looking like that. I says, "Oh yeah, well, session's over." Bong.
I never even thought of that with that picture. That's so funny.
Yeah, well, I'm a graphics artist. I notice everything in the background. I look at backgrounds more than I do anything else. And it's getting close to that top of the hour, and I really appreciate you coming. And those that are watching and watch later on, you can see the ticker down below, and it gives you all the information to how you can find Brian Crawford and give him a call, go visit him, set up an appointment, or he can direct you to someone if you're real far away. They're all connected. He's connected with the quantum healers, and he can get you to a place or to someone that you can trust and be there if you cannot get to him. And hopefully you'll be there for, close to him. Especially, we all go to Florida a lot, so we'll have time to.
I'm in Fort Lauderdale. Come on down. It's beautiful. Book it in the winter. It's even better.
That's when I want to go in the winter. We have hot enough here in South Carolina, especially these past. It's raining now, but past few weeks it's been over 100 every day for 3 weeks straight. So we've had it pretty hot here. And Brian, I really appreciate you coming on, and I'm going to kind of put you backstage, and I'll come back on and talk to you right before you leave there. And really appreciate it. And you have an
honor. Thank you. Absolute honor. Delight.
You have a great day, and I'll be with you in just one moment.
You got it.
All right. You've listened to Brian Crawford and all this wonderful information to make your body well. And I'll tell you what, I've experienced some of what he's talking about, and I know it's great. We're going to have a special prime time with Jerry McKee tomorrow with Billy Joe Jones. She's a singer, and she's coming up in this new television series with Luke Ryan that's coming up, and it's almost like American Idol in a way, or a country idol. I think it's more of a country, of course. And but she plays. She'll be playing on that, and she got some great hits out. She's up in Nashville, so stay tuned for tomorrow night at 7:00, and be able to give her a chance to talk to her. Well, I'm Jerry McKee, and you have a great evening.